desks or something.
Hello. Hi everyone, thank you for coming. This is Elena. She's one of the great supermodels of the world, also an artist and an activist and a really good friend. And we just want to say thank you to Sean for having us and having me in the gallery, and Altanet, who introduced me to the gallery, and Stuart Semple, who I made a red paint with, and Ben. So we'll come here to launch a red paint, and also the show is downstairs as well, so if no one's been downstairs, you're welcome to come down. And we're just going to do a little Q&A.
So proud of you, Daniel, and thank you so much, everyone who came out to see Daniel's your solo exhibition. Congratulations!
Thank you.
Really, I came all the way from New York. I couldn't miss that. So, but I'm amongst everybody else. I would like to know your story. When did the artist muse visit you, and what happened?
So I've been living at sculpture for nearly 24 years, and I've been very lucky to show in amazing museums and live as sculpture, and then show my work in museums and run the streets in all this stuff. But I realised when I did an exhibition at Stuart's gallery of my studio, which this is only a tiny part of. I took a small tin of paint home and I opened the tin of paint, and I realised my favourite colours were pink and purple because of these two. It was like a reddy pink because of these two colours, and I saw the colour that I was mixing 24 years previous, and I realised that my art teacher told me I couldn't paint and I couldn't draw, and I believed it my whole life.
You couldn't?
Yeah, I believed it. I really, I had, designing operas, I had to go to sleep to come up with my ideas. And then I had to wake up to write them down in words. And then my therapist, he was quite amazing, he said, why don't you do art therapy? You're an artist, why don't you paint and draw? And I just said, I was like, I don't do that. So it was this revelation of sitting at home, going through therapy. I had a bad therapist years ago, and she told everyone everything, so I had a bad situation. And then eventually I sat down at home and I got my old sketch pads out from school, which were also in the exhibition. And I carried on where I left off 24 years ago. So I painted 300 people that had pissed me off, hurt me, made me angry. There's lots. And they ended up on the page. And then my friend Marina Abramovic asked to see the work, and I said no. I said, it's in the bag, if you want to take it out, look at it. And she took it out, and she said, you must see what you've done. And I was like, this is weird. It felt so alien to me. So
you really didn't still, the voice of the teacher was still in your head.
Yeah.
I remember that was a year ago.
Over a year ago.
A little over a year, October, I believe.
Yeah.
That's how you and I met too.
Yeah.
The Marina Abramovic retrospective.
Yeah. So then I called up my friend Stuart, and I said, Stuart, I need some paint. So I've used the blackest black, the whitest white, and now we've got the Lismore Red that are coming out today. But it's literally the best paint ever. Like, I'm obsessed with it, and I don't really want to paint with anything else. So we curated this piece over her work, and then my friend Fiona came and documented the moment, and she said, you need to continue. And then these thoughtscapes happened, and then I just continued painting up till today, and I get really obsessive over it, and I can't stop, and it's almost like I'm making up for lost time. So everything on this floor and downstairs is all 1 year's work.
So how did you make that transition from fashion, sculpture, and on paper? And why red paint?
Red paint, well, I love red. I'm a bit obsessed with red, and I just couldn't find the right red anywhere. And I always wear red lipstick, and all the paintings were had volcanoes and red lips and body parts in them, and some, because of the wars at the minute, that also ended up on the page. So I needed that, and just the whole idea of going from living sculpture, trying to put that in a flat thing is a very strange situation. It's hard to kind of make something like this and turn it on. So I've done my best anyway. I've got a long way to go. I'm sure that most of you are better than, but that's the thing, artists, everyone's art is so valid, and I think there's so many artists that come to me over time, and they say, oh, I'm not an artist, and then years later I see them and they've created the most incredible work, and I think people need to let go of their doubt and pick up a paintbrush and just get to it, and the therapy actually worked, so I'm 80% better than I was, so that's kind of miraculous, and it actually does work.
Well, I been here, since the open, right? It's been 3 days now,
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, and I witnessed people's reaction. I mean, the first day, I quite honestly, I walked in downstairs, and I just stood there, speechless. I couldn't even find the right words to describe, and then there was this one young man who just happened, he told me the story, I don't know if he's here tonight, but he was just walking by on the street, and just said hi to you, and then he said, well, you said, I have a show downstairs, and I witnessed the whole transition of that one human being who just transformed in front of me and in the presence of Daniel's work, that I could see cracking his heart open, and he said all these emotions. I mean, I was tearing, he was tearing up, and what is all behind this? It's just so powerful. It really just takes you. Each portrait, it's like a strong emotion. How, where?
I think
it's so brave of you, really.
Thank you. I think when we have all these problems and demons and things, we don't talk about them and we hold them up in ourselves. And the things that have happened to me on a daily basis, I get shit from all sorts of people on every level, from the top of the industry that I work in, to the streets, to my neighbours, to everywhere. I've been stabbed and spat on, all these weird things. And then on the other side of my life, it's insane, it's incredible, and I have amazing people in my life, and there's the positives in there. But I think it was. I haven't even thought about it. I was just like, I'm going to put everything on the wall, and if people see things and read into it, it's probably true. It's probably right, and it's these things that we're really scared of talking about. So I'm just going to. If I put it on the wall, it's like liberation, and I have nothing to fear. I had this weird narcissist in my life, and he threatened these weird things, and some of the work's about him. He's all over the place. But that's like a really hard thing to go through, like physical abuse, mental abuse, and other kinds of abuses on your daily life. So, if I can talk about it, hopefully someone might, try and figure their situation out. Maybe not. And then so I don't know. And then there's loss, losing your family members or whatever. I never really spoke about it. I couldn't get there in therapy, but it came out in painting. So.
And all this, we're all human beings, right? We're all brothers and sisters, and I personally speak for myself. I can relate to every emotion and situations in life because it's life, and it's still beautiful. But you really crack that door down to all of us, from this very deep, dark, wounded place, and this light just bright shining at you and me and all of you. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
You can just keep shining.
Well, we have to. But I just think if you have situations like any of them or your own, I think you have to deal with them. It's so hard to actually get there and somehow deal with life. And for me, a few years ago, I came up with the idea of my big exhibition that has been touring around the world to different museums, and it was sorry, it's the trigger, but it was either the balcony or do that show, and I chose to do the show, and otherwise I wouldn't be here. So I think when you get into those moments, you have to fight through, and I'm fed up with hearing all my friends they're not here anymore for all these reasons, and it's a real thing. So yeah. But thank you.
Anyone has something to say?
If anyone has any questions,
Daniel, is there a painting or a piece you've done where you've suddenly woke up and thought, that's it, I am fucking drawing now?
Oh yeah.
Is that just
No.
is that a moment?
I'm dating someone at the minute, and he was in my house, and he was like, he was going to work, and he watched me paint, and he was like, "What? You're possessed?" And I'm like, "It's I go somewhere else. I'm not present, so I haven't figured it out yet. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what being an artist is, or maybe it's not. Who knows? I try and plan things out, but they never go to plan. But that's like most things.
Well, you certainly take us on a pretty incredible journey,
Thank you.
and yeah, we're with you, really,
Thanks.
and really incredible. But I'm curious, I'm sure all of you guys, tell us about your previous work, because
yeah.
I only met you a year ago.
Yeah, so I've been living as sculpture, which is a really interesting way of living, and I moved to London when I was 17, became a model, got lost in nightlife, worked at Vogue, all these magazines and all these pop stars, and all the way through there was this club scene, everyone from Bowie to Boy George to all there's always been a scene here. It's so important. I think what Sean's doing with this gallery and the space downstairs, it's going to be a music hub and an art hub, and it's kind of ripped out of the area, and this is what I discovered when I moved to London. And you could be yourself, or you could just pretend or play, dress up, or whatever what you wanted to be. And some of the greatest artists in the world that we're all watching today, like musicians, like they've all come through this. Most of them have been here, been inspired, and then gone off and inspired the world. So
Who inspired you?
everyone, like all my friends, all my family, like people. I mean, even the bad people. I get so inspired to do more when I see terrible things. That's why I'm an activist. I think also what's happening in the whole world at the minute, with the wars and everything, and people being silenced. It's we have to speak the truth of the reality of today, not the propaganda we're fed by people. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but history, I mean, there's real situations in the world, and most people know what they are, but then other people are clouded by it. And I think to speak truth is really important right now, because the world's getting more polarised, and one of the works downstairs is about a polarised conversation. And I was in the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood, and there were all these people around the table, and they were all kind of saying, everyone's this and everyone's that, and we need to get rid of that, and we need to. And other people were saying we need peace, and other people were saying